all gets our attention today. It is indeed my pleasure to welcome you to today's episode of Firecrackers. My name is Ibrahim Salako, and I have with me here in the studio Bola, a public affairs analyst and veteran journalist. Thank you so much for being here with us today, sir.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much. Happy New Month.
Thank you so much. Wishing you same as well. Okay, all right. So before we start discussing Tinubu's second year anniversary being the president of Nigeria, let us first of all go on this break and look at some of the things that the administration is going. And that's the federal government declaring tuition free and feeding in technical colleges. Let's consider reporting. When we come back, we'll be analyzing President Bola Tinubu's second year in office. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. And if you're just joining us, this is Firecrackers, and we're just about to analyze President Tinubu's second year in office. And I have with me in the studio Bola, public affairs analyst and veteran journalist. Once again, thank you so much for being here with us.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So now let us dive out. Since President Bola Tinubu became the president of Nigeria, well, Nigeria has seen some intense time. Let me put it that way. It has really been intense. It has been challenging. But one of the things I feel like we need to commend Nigerians for is for their resilience. Although we know that a lot of people are not having it easy. No one having it easy. But now let us look at some of the policies that President Bola Tinubu introduced. Let us first of all look at it from the side of petroleum subsidy removal. It seemed like it was going to be a disaster. But now this is the second year that Nigerians have been surviving without fuel subsidy. How would you look at that policy of fuel subsidy removal? Has it really been for the best, or is this something that will probably be introduced in the future?
Thank you very much. That policy was supposed to be for the best. But whether it has been for the best depends on who is analyzing the policy. For those of them in government, the policy is good. For those of them earning more money, the governors, the local government chairmen, the National Assembly, the presidency, those of them who are working in government, now they have more money to spend. For them, it's the right policy. That's why you find that many of the governors, many of the legislators, National Assembly members are defective to the ruling party. They are praising the president because he has put more money in their pockets. So they have more money to spend. So for them, it's good policy. For the government also, at the federal level, it's good policy because it relieves them of the burden of fuel subsidy, of subsidizing fuel. And they too now have more money to spend. But for the people, the common man on the street, bearing the burden, it is a different story entirely. It's a total ball game entirely. That people have survived despite it does not mean that they are happy with it, and does not mean that they are not feeling the pain and the pinch of that policy. It's a different thing for you to live a comfortable life. It's a different thing for you to live a pleasurable life. It's a different thing for you to live a life of maximum benefits and enjoyment than for you to struggle, to barely survive on the fringes of life. What many Nigerians do at the moment, they are at the fringes of life, just barely managing to survive. You find that a lot of people now have cut their cloth in such a way that it can no longer even cover their whole frame, their whole body. You find people wearing clothes now that their stomachs are protruding and the clothes are not fitting at all because the cloth is not enough to cover their frame. That is what we have now. We have people who eat now. So have you eaten? Yes, I have eaten. You do not know whether he has just soaked gari with guguru and ekwa, or whether he has been able to eat jollof rice or fried rice. Many people cannot live at the level that they used to live in the past, because the amount of money they spend all alone on fuel is let's say is scandalous. Now, to fuel my car every month, every week, I spend 70 something thousand. Highlander, I spend 70 something thousand to fuel it. If I choose not to take it and I take my Toyota Mozo, I spend 72,000. And that will last me, if I go out regularly the way I go out, that will last me for just 5 days. So I go out every day as a journalist, as a media practitioner, as a pastor. I go to church 4 times in a week. Tuesdays I go to church, Thursdays I go to church, Saturday I have program, I go to church, Sunday I go to church. I'm just coming from church now and have a lot of activities. And then of course we have socials and things like that. At the end of the day, if you spend an average of 70,000 per week, multiplied by 4, that's about 200 and something thousand. That is only on fuel. You are not talking about maintenance of the vehicle. Now they have even increased what you have to spend on acquiring the particulars of those vehicles. And then we're not talking about other cost centers that you have to deal with. We're not talking about feeding, we're not talking about medication, we're not talking about housing, we're not talking about your children who are in school fees. That everything had ballooned out of the control of most Nigerians, average Nigerians. So now everybody is just trying. You have a list of priorities. You begin to cut corners. You begin to say this one is not okay. You reduce this, you do this. And each time I do that, I do it. I know a lot of people do. Each time I do it, I remember what my Pastor Adeboye said one time. He said, if you have to compile a list of priorities and you begin to remove one and put the other, he said you still need prayers.
Well, please, I'm so sorry to cut short the two of your thoughts. Let us quickly go on this commercial break, and when we come back, we'll be looking at how the masses is handling the removal of fuel subsidy. Please, stay with us. Thank you so much for staying with us. If you're just joining us, this is Firecrackers, and we're analyzing President Bola Tinubu's second year in office. And I have with me in the studio Mr. Bola, and he is talking about how everyone now have to start listing the things of what you need and then removing. Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to say is that the fact that you still find vehicles on the road, sometimes when you drive out and you find vehicles on the road, it's amazing. Doesn't mean that Nigerians can cope. Doesn't mean that Nigerians are coping. Doesn't mean that there is money in this country. Doesn't mean that we can afford to buy petrol at 1,000 naira per liter and things like that. It's not as if Nigerians are finding it easy. It's just that you just have to move. It's just that you have to leave a lot of other things that you ought to have done with that money, and then you concentrate that money on buying fuel. And unfortunately, two of the areas where people are now closing their eyes to, which is dangerous, is their health. People now, a lot of money they also have spent on their health. People who used to go on medical checkup twice in a year now have reduced it to once. Some people can't even go at all, because even when you go to that sector too, the cost of medication, the cost of treatment is alarming. So a lot of people have cut down on that. And then a lot of people have also cut down on feeding well. People can't feed well again. This morning I was talking to a woman in my church. She came in and she was looking for me. I said, Madam, what is the problem? You're having some problems. She said, yes. He said, BP. I said, about blood sugar. I said, no, from BP. I said, I was advising her some of the things to eat, some of the things to drop, because I had a similar problem and I had to drop those things. When I mentioned bread, she said, no, what am I going to be eating again? When I said, you have to cut down on cake, meat pie, I said, I just ate meat pie today now. So what are we going to eat again? I was just talking about, okay, beans and this and that. You see, that is it now. A lot of people now, they just can't even afford even to eat that bread, to even put protein in it. Maybe you boil egg, you fry egg, or you use something like vegetables and things like that. It's just get the raw bread and just at best, maybe just make tea. Look for powdered milk, pour into it, and then you have eaten. Your stomach is full, but you are damaging your system, you're damaging your organs. So you find out that the money that this fuel issue takes away from people, it is money taken away from other essential services. A lot of people now can't even pay. A lot of students have dropped out from school. It's a good thing that government introduced this students' loans or something for students who are in higher institutions. One of my members came on, they said, Pastor, praise God. I said, what is it? He said, Tinubu had been able to get the loan. I said, to God be the glory. If that boy did not get the loan, what would have happened? The parents couldn't afford. Maybe this boy would drop out from the university. So the fact that we find vehicles on the road, there's a traffic on the road. It means that the thing is not as bad as people are saying. No, it's bad. It's only that now opportunity cost. What you forgo for another. What Nigerians are forgoing to be able to put themselves on the road is unimaginable. So let nobody deceive anybody by saying that, oh, because find vehicles on the road, find road traffic on the road, it means that the removal of fuel subsidy did not affect people. People can afford it. People can least afford it. But people have no choice. So they are leaving a lot of other things that are essential. They're leaving them out so that they can at least put themselves on the road so that they can go after making a living. So that is the way I put. For me, that is what it has been, because I have left a lot of other things, essentials out. A lot of people that I used to help. A lot of people that every month I have to send 20 to this, 30 to this, 50 to that, 10 to this, and this. I have scaled it down. I have discovered now that even when you send 5,000 to some people, it means a lot. People will call you and say, oh, please, can you just send 5,000? I've had people calling me and saying that, please, can you send 2,000? A lot of. There was a day somebody called me in Abuja and said, I am stranded. I said, what? He said, I am in a park. I can't get home. I said, why? He said, because I have been expecting some money to drop into my account. It didn't drop. So please, can you send 2,000 to get me? I said 2,000 to a respectable lady that would never have asked you for that kind of money. So I sent 20. Like, wow. You know, so it is like that for many people across board, except those who are in very good employment and those ones who will complain to you because the burden on them, the way people assail them for. Now I'm on television. Today, now, many of those when they see me on television today, they think that I have come here to collect 1 million. So they'll be calling me. The fact that you saw me on television does not mean that I get paid. The fact that, okay, now those who will read my article today in the Sunday Tribune, so we saw all you wrote. So they will call me. I said, I don't get paid for what I write in either Sunday Tribune or New Telegraph or wherever. I don't get paid. The radio station, television stations that you see. It's not as if I'm blaming this organization for no pay. I'm just saying that if people think that you have money or you are likely you have assets, they think that you have money. The pressure on you, the way they will say, oh, somebody say, I just saw you. People that I never knew, we saw you on television. We read you. We saw you on the social media. So because my phone number is there. My email is there. You just be all sorts of requests. It is because they are not finding things easy. It's not everybody out there that's asking you for money that is lazy. No, I don't believe I don't agree with the statement made by the former president that Nigerian youths are lazy. It's not because they are lazy. It's just because the opportunities are not there. The roads, the doors are shut against so many people that anywhere they go, they just hit their heads against the wall and they bounce back. So whoever they think can help them is the person that will now offload their problems on. So the situation in the country is not palatable at all. But Nigerians are, like you have said, are resilient people. they will find a way, except people who want to commit suicide. And of course, we have seen that the rate of suicide has been on the rise. People jump into the lagoon, people doing this and that, committing, because when they are fed up, when the situation becomes unbearable, it hadn't been like that in the past. So all those are indications that the removal of fuel subsidy, together with some other policies of this government, have had a lot of adverse effects on the living standard of Nigerians. Nigerians generally, majority of Nigerians today, their standard of living has dropped drastically. They are just barely managing to exist. They are not living in the real sense of the word. I think we must understand that. And government must factor that into whatever they are doing, all their policies. They must understand that it's not as if people are enjoying it. If Nigerians are not complaining, they are not trooping to the road, to the streets and doing what some people will do in Tunisia or in Egypt or other places, and they think, oh, Nigerians, they are having it easy, everything is okay. It is not true. It's just that Nigerians are resilient people. Nigerians always try to see what they can do.
Very resourceful.
Yeah, to make ends meet.
Okay, well, now if we have to look at it from the angle of if, especially looking at the impact the removal of fuel subsidy had on the small and medium scale enterprises all over Nigeria, would you say that the government in a way probably is taking advantage of the people? Because as Nigerians are still dealing with the consequences of fuel subsidy removal, we also had in this administration, we were faced with the issue of this segregation by band A, band B, band C, band D, and then everyone is paying the band, for people on band A, they are paying so much for electricity, and the electricity itself is still not constant. And then there are still plans that they want to bring everyone on board to the 20 to 24 hours, so everyone will be paying exorbitantly for electricity. Do you think that might be fair?
They want to crash the entire economy upon the head of the Bola Tinubu administration when they do that. If ever they do that, they are shutting down the economy. And the moment they shut down the economy, and people can't afford power, they can't afford to even put on an electric bulb in their house. They can't afford to switch on their fridge or freezer. They can't even afford to watch television. Then they are shutting down the economy. Now, I wonder, what is this government going to subsidize for Nigerians? Because thank God we went to school and we have traveled abroad and we have read about other countries. We know that there is no country in the world that does not subsidize something for its citizens. Every country looks at what is the driver of its economy and tries to make it affordable so that the economy can grow. In this country, the driver of the economy ought to be power. Without power, nothing works. If there is no power, you and I can't be here talking. People can't hear us, can't see us. So we can't grow the economy. Now we're talking about small-scale industries. When you buy a liter of fuel for 1,000, what kind of work will an Okada person do to make profit? How many passengers will you carry? How many distance, how many kilometers will you travel before you make that money? And the person you are carrying, can he afford it? So you find that people, instead of say, hey, Okada, they trek. Is that not so? People trek a lot now. Okay, so Okada has no business. Now, the other time I wanted to inflate my tire. I brought out 200 naira. The man laughed. The organizer laughed. He said, okay, when was the last time you inflated your tire? I said, my tires are new. So I am just trying, I just want to change. He said, oh, guy, is 1,000 naira. Ooh. So put here, last one, pump here, put here. I said, oh, guy, is 1,000 naira. He said, sir, he said, you know how much you buy petrol? And I said, I cannot be telling you how much you buy petrol. You know how much you buy petrol. So everybody is affected. The person who is grinding pepper is affected. The organizer is affected. The barber is affected. And like you said, even the power is not constant. So you need generator. So, and you must fuel the generator. You must service the generator. So at the end of the day, the cost of services has increased. The purchasing power of people that need the services has dwindled because of the inflationary trend. The naira in your pocket has lost its value. Now, if you have 1,000 naira, it cannot buy what 500 naira could buy some 2-3 years back. So, and your salary has not increased. Your income has not increased. Yet, what you must spend money on has increased. You take 5,000 naira to the market, by the time you finish buying, you will be asking yourself whether you lost money. There was a time I had to carry, even at my level, I had to carry, a diary.
Okay.
I'm writing down as I was spending money. At the end of the day, I would say, I didn't lose any money now. You see, you go to supermarket now. What you buy before, and you will be pushing trolley. Now, when you buy it, you just put it in just one small nylon bag. So meaning that the purchasing power of the naira has drastically been reduced. When this government got into power, what was the exchange rate? Less than 500 naira to $1. But now, 1,600. That's multiplied by 3. That means that the value of the naira has depreciated, is cut by 2/3. So it's only 1/3. In other words, a 1,000 naira in some 1 or 2 years back is now just about 300 naira. So what you will buy with 1,000 naira now was what you bought with 300 naira the other time. So the small scale industries are the worst hit because they can't afford to pay the amount of money they are asking for as the cost of power. The cost is exorbitant. Okay, it's not only the small scale industries that cannot pay. Even the presidency cannot pay. The presidency now has moved from, they have jackpot from power from NEPA now to solar. Can you imagine that? If the presidency is jackpotting from to solar, so what do they expect? Who do they expect will pay? The other time, UCH couldn't pay. And they were using, and for how many months? People were carrying their generator to UCH of all places. Can you imagine that? UCH used to be the best hospital in the whole of Africa. The Sultan of Saudi Arabia, all those sheikhs, they used to come to UCH for medical attention. But it has gotten to a level that even that same UCH cannot pay for power. Many of our universities cannot pay for power because the money they say, I don't know how they calculate it, that it has become, power supply has become such an exorbitant, it has become rocket science that we can't afford power supply. Nigerians can't afford to get home and power their television, power their fridge, anytime you are living home now, you must make sure you put off every electrical appliances, each one. Why? Because we can't afford. In fact, I had one engineer that I had to. I said, is a kind. The second day, blessed. He now had to tell a bulb. This is per hour. This is what you consume. This is your television per hour. This is what you consume. So we were now calculating. It's okay. And this is 5,000, 10,000 power that you bought. If you put on this is how long it will take you. It has gotten to that ridiculous level. And we are not poor people. We are supposed to be upper middle class people. And we are like this. Now, what do we expect the poor people? What do we think that they are going through? So, and in any economy, including this our own, and government itself has said it, statistics have confirmed it, that the informal economy, the informal sector of the economy in Nigeria is more than the formal sector. They say maybe about 70%, 80% of the informal sector. The economy of Nigeria is about 70%, 80% informal sector. If that informal sector is crippled because of lack of power, how do you grow the economy? So I think that they must think of what to do to reinvigorate the economy. And I think one thing they must do is do something about this power. You cannot price power supply beyond the reach of others.
Banks are advised to Nigeria that the electricity subsidy is a wasteful expenditure. And then it's even seen as if probably they are even considering if they are trying to move all Nigerians to Bangladesh, that will be paying that much money for electricity supply. So for this instance, how seriously did Nigeria consider the World Bank suggestion on electricity subsidy?
You see, when you're talking about the World Bank and the IMF and all those multilateral organizations that we call them, they are agents of imperialism. They were not set up. I read some history in university. I read history and political science. They were not set up for the benefit or advantage of third world countries or developing economies. They were set up as instruments of the victorious powers. Those powers that were victorious after the Second World War, when they defeated the Allied powers, when they defeated the Axis powers, the powers made up of Germany, Italy, Japan. So the victorious powers now set up 3 organizations. They set up the United Nations, and they put themselves and a few of their cronies as the Security Council members. So that's why we have the 5 members who are Security Council: the US, Britain, France, and then they co-opted Russia, USSR at that time because of the limited role they played, and then China. So 5 of them, and each of them has better power. And then they set up the Bretton Woods institutions. They set up the World Bank and the IMF, and all 3 organizations, for you to know where the power lies. Their headquarters are in the United States of America. So those organizations were not meant for the benefit of the colonized people. They were meant for the colonizers who have now become the neo-colonial powers to maintain their control over the economy and the resources and the livelihood of the colonized states. So their economic policies are not policies that are to the interest of the colonized powers. Their economic policies are policies that serve their own personal interest. So any policy that the IMF, the World Bank, they're talking to you about, they are policies from their own perspective. They are policies that defend their own economic interests. We are the hewers of wood and fetchers of water. We are the countries that must produce the raw materials for them to produce the finished goods. They dictate to us the price of the raw materials that we produce. They buy it at their own price, the price they dictate, and then they sell their finished goods and dictate to us the price that they will sell to us. So it's unequal. That's what we call in economics unequal relationship. So you find that the trade deficit is always against us to the advantage. So all the policies they tell us are policies that will serve their interest against our own interest. And for your information, these countries this IMF that is telling us we must not subsidize. They can't tell the US not to subsidize agricultural products. They are subsidizing their farmers. They can't tell Britain not to subsidize health. They can't tell US not to subsidize health. They are subsidizing. So they are subsidizing critical areas of the economy It is only when they come to us they tell us that subsidy is bad. Why can't they tell US that subsidy is bad? Now you can see what Trump is doing. Trump is doing this war of tariffs. Now they will tell us that tariffs are bad. There must be open market. That's why we have the World Trade Organization. The other time I was asking Okonjo-Iweala, what is your function there now? You are supposed to maintain that. You are there to maintain that there is a free trade. Now, what they are doing, the tariff war between US and the other countries, is China and the other countries, is it not against free trade? So now, is anybody talking about that, oh no, what these people are doing is against free trade? If we are the ones that says that does anything like that, they will tell us, oh, it's against free trade. It's against this, and they will begin to say they will sanction you. They will begin to do that. So it is all this idea of World Bank, listening to World Bank. There is no country that has ever developed by all the conditionalities that World Bank said. We have not found any. Any of the third world countries that have developed, they have developed despite the World Bank, despite IMF. They have developed by saying no to the IMF and the World Bank until we remove ourselves, we unhinge ourselves from IMF and World Bank, and we pursue our own policies that will not be detrimental to our own interests. Until then, because before we can start developing, this idea that World Bank has said it, World Bank has said that, which country has the World Bank helped to develop? Is it the World Bank that helped the Asian tigers to develop? Is it the World Bank that helped China to develop? The World Bank doesn't help anybody. They only help themselves. So our governments allowing themselves to be tied to the apron strings of the World Bank, it is because they themselves are part of our problems and not part of the solution. Any government in any developing country, there you see dancing to the tune of the World Bank and IMF. That the IMF is praising, you must know that that government is not acting in the interest of its own people, but is acting in the interest of those that we call the metropolitan powers. They are the metropolitan powers, and we are the periphery of it, and we are the ones that just. So I don't think I agree with it. What the World Bank and the IMF, what they were saying. They destroyed this economy, this country. They destroyed this country by the fact that you can remember when Babangida was the president, and we were having this debate whether to take IMF loan or not. Structural adjustment program, and we're having, and Nigerians overwhelmingly rejected IMF loan and the conditionalities attached to them. But the government went behind our back and took the loans, and that was where the destruction, the demolition of the naira as a viable national currency began. And since then, we have not recovered. So it is the IMF and the World Bank that destroyed the Nigerian economy, and they are still continuing to do that. Our governments are allowing them to do that because they are not ready to do the right thing, and because they are in league with the World Bank and the IMF and their policy of holding Nigerians perpetually in bondage. And because our leaders are not partaking in the suffering that the majority of people are going through, so they don't seem to care. And I don't think that is good enough.
Okay, all right. So before we round up on this economic policies of President Bola Tinubu, what are the things you are expecting to see, or you feel like if they are implemented, then for the first tenure of the president, we would be seeing drastic positive changes in Nigeria?
The government will have to extricate itself from the filters that the World Bank and the IMF have tied it. They must untie themselves. There is no other solution. We must look inwards. Our economy must not be tied to foreign currencies, dollars and things like that. How did China become the octopus that it is today? They shut their door against foreign influences. They developed locally. Shut your door. Develop, look at your resources. Why is it that we have foreign taste? Nigerians have foreign taste. Even you and I, the dresses we are wearing are foreign. I don't know whether your hairdo is foreign or not. So, you know, we are foreign. The glasses we are wearing, a lot of things about us, our telephones, everything. Perhaps virtually everything in this room is foreign. That is the problem. So you need their currency to get all these things. And how can you get their currency? You must sell raw materials to them. The oil we are selling crude oil. We can't even refine it. We can't refine and sell. We can't refine and use. Even to produce the crude oil, we depend on them to produce it. We can't even produce our crude oil ourselves. So what do we have? When we grow cocoa, we can't use it. We can't even add value to a lot of the things that we grow here. We have to send them there. So our economy is outward looking. And because of that, we are dependent on them. Until we get a government that will reduce our dependence. I expected Tinubu to have started reducing Nigeria's dependence on international capital, finance capital. But he has not done that. We are still collecting loan, we are still collecting loan, we are still collecting loan, we are still collecting loan. And then people are asking questions. What of all the money that customs are generating? What of all the monies that NPA are generating? What of all the monies that we are even getting from crude oil sales? What of all the money that EFCC, that they tell us that they are recovering from people? What are we doing with all this money? Yet we are still going and borrowing. And our people have a saying, he who goes a borrowing, goes a sorrowing. So we are borrowing, and people do not tend to see what we are using the money we are borrowing for. Are you using it to fund education? Are you using it to provide electricity? Are you using it to give us a good health services? The other time I was reading how many thousands of doctors have jackpot from the country. How many doctors do we have? The prayer that people pray now, even in the church today, we pray the prayer, is that may you not fall sick. May you not have to visit the hospital. Because you don't find doctors there. 2 years back, I went to the hospital, and the person was putting me on insulin. I said, what is the problem that you're already putting me? He was already telling me I should go to that pharmacy. It was already a community pharmacy that I will go to and go and buy. So quickly come so that I can start giving you the injection. I now called a friend of mine in the US. I said, come so he said, my brother, don't go that route. Don't ever do it. Go and get mango leaf, get soursop leaf, get guava leaf, get this. You know that the doctor saw me some time ago. He said, so you didn't come. Where are you taking your insulin? I said, your insulin. You know, sometimes it is because of lack of knowledge on their part. Many of our experienced doctors are out. And even the ones that you have now, the level of capability is low. And then the corruption. Everybody wants money. In another few weeks, we will be burying one of our elders. Why? Because he went to hospital in Lagos. What did not warrant an operation? Because of the money they wanted to make, because of lack of knowledge, they put him through operation. And then the case was in the first time, they did second time, third time, fourth time, and the man is dead. You see, so you find a situation where things are not what they used to be. The level of competence everywhere has dropped because people are running away from the country. And then because the economy is not improving. Despite all the billions that we have amassed in loans, the economy is not improving. Despite the fact that we have removed subsidy and we have more money to spend, the economy is not improving. Except on their data. Because I do know that I've had the opportunity of looking into the corridors of power. I do know that what they know, what they hear, what they see is different from reality. They work on data put before them. They work on statistics go before them. Oh, we have done this. Oh, we have done that. Oh, civil servants will come and say it is this, it is that. People on the corridors of power will come and say, Excellency, you are doing so fantastically well. Those who want contracts will come and say, if you see how people are praising you outside, so everybody, you are the best thing that can ever happen. So actually, most of the time, they don't see reality. I think there was a time I was telling the governor that he said, Bola, are you sure that what you are saying is correct? I said, it is correct, Your Excellency. He said, because what they are telling me is different. I said, those people are telling you what you want to hear because they want contract. I said, you know me now, I'm not bringing any file before you. I'm not praying for you to sign it. So I can tell you the truth, you know. So you discover that the people who are in power, either they don't want to hear reality, or the people around them are not telling them reality, or both. So, and if they get there, they give themselves the impression everything is fine. They make speeches, this and that. It is when they now leave power, they now begin to see reality. Look at all of them who are former presidents. You see the way they are talking now. Then you have to ask yourself, you were there as president. Why didn't you do all these things you are not? They didn't see it. They didn't realize it. They were not told. They didn't see the figures. So it is after they leave, they begin to see reality. Whether they are governors, whether they are senators, it's when they leave. They begin to see reality. They begin to say, I wasn't told. I didn't know it was like that. And some of them, even if they knew, they would say that, but the system doesn't allow us, cannot do this, we cannot do that. So what I expect the president to do is to understand reality. He is not operating with reality at the moment. All they are telling us, the economic policy is working. It is not working. Which one is working? Is it fuel subsidy removal that is working, that we people are crying? Floating of Naira that is working, that we are crying? That even you said you are merging the two rates, official and the black market rate. What has happened is that the official rate is the one that has climbed up to meet the black market rate. So what kind of thing is that? Maybe what you want to have done, and you just cancel the official rate now, and let us quickly jump to. That's why abolish just the official rate. That's all. What have you just done? The Naira that was less than 400 is now 1,600 or something. What kind of official rate? What kind of margin of what are we talking about? And when you say that you are floating the Naira, how can a country that is dependent on importation be floating the Naira? What are you exporting that will give your people the benefit of the advantage of, our products are now cheaper, then more people will buy, we'll make more money, economy of scale, and then this thing happens. But nothing like that now. So you just destroyed the Naira. And by destroying the Naira, you increase your debt stock, because now you have more money, your debt has increased, you have to pay more, and then you have reduced the purchasing power of the Naira, the pocket of everybody. You have pauperized everybody. You turned everybody into beggars. You made us poor. So whatever money you had in your account in anywhere, they have just reduced the value by. So at the end of the day, everybody is a loser. What have we gained?
Well, definitely, that is definitely a food for thought. But sadly, we have run out of time. Thank you so much for your contribution. It has really been enlightening. Thank you so much for being with us today on Firecrackers.
It's my pleasure.
All right, and that's Bola, public affairs analyst and veteran journalist. So this is how we'll be drawing the curtains close on today's episode of Firecrackers. We thank you so much for staying with us to the very end. My name is Iriba Salako. See you same time, same station next week. Do have a wonderful month and week ahead. Goodbye.